Hey Daniel, hi guys. This is Daniel and Raz. I'm Raz. This is Daniel. Daniel's a tax attorney, and we do a lot of helping a lot of people with retirement, especially with minimizing tax fees and risk. But there's a question we get all the time when we're presenting in dinner seminars and in webinars and stuff. People always ask, "Well, are you guys selling annuities?" I've heard a lot of bad things about annuities, right, Daniel?
Yes, I get that question a lot. Annuities are always bad, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to ask these questions and you try to answer them. I'm going to really grill you hard, all right?
All right.
So everybody tells me annuities are really bad. They have high fees, and you lock up your money, you can't get to them. So tell me, why would anybody in the right mind want to buy an annuity?
Well, an annuity is a tool just like anything else. So, any investment, any type of retirement vehicle is a tool and it's used very well for a specific purpose. Just like if you have a hammer, it's good for a nail, it's bad for a screw. If you have a screw gun, it's going to be terrible for a nail. So, whatever your uh, goal is and desire is in retirement, you need to use the right tool for that purpose. And annuity is just a tool, so it can be very good for certain people and very bad for other people. And
But I
there's
don't like insurance companies, man. They're all rich and ripping me off.
Well, it really depends on what the purpose is and what you want to use it for. There's a lot of different kinds of annuities. So let's break it down. First of all, there are variable annuities,
Mm-hmm.
which are designed originally to defer your taxes but stay in the market. And those have extremely high fees. So that a lot of the negatives you hear about annuities are from variable annuities because often they're 4% or more in fees every year that's being charged. And it had a specific purpose for somebody who was making a lot of money and knew they were going to make almost nothing in the future, and they could just defer the tax, and they were maxing out the 401k and all that. But that doesn't apply to most people, especially in this tax
Right.
environment.
But if you have a variable annuity, you might want to get it checked out. You can always click the link and have us do a free review.
Yes. So with that said, there's besides variable annuities, there's also fixed annuities. Now, fixed annuities are guaranteed in value, so you're guaranteed usually not to lose money at all, no
Okay.
matter what happens in the market or whatever.
Sort of like a bank account. So if got my
Yeah,
money in a bank account, I'm guaranteed not to lose the money.
and a normal traditional fixed annuity, also called a MIGA or multi-year guaranteed annuity, it's similar to a CD that you just get a specific interest rate every year, and you know what you're going to get. So if you get 5%, it's guaranteed for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, whatever it is, and they can't, uh, you know, back out of that, and you always know what you're going to get.
So they can't change the rules on you in the midway.
Exactly. And so that's a fixed annuity, and a lot of people these days are very interested in fixed annuities because they're going to do better than CDs usually over the long term.
Because CDs you can only get for a short period of time for a decent rate of return. And you
Exactly.
know that the interest rate's going to go down eventually, and then you won't be able to renew at a higher rate again.
Right. And then there's fixed indexed annuities, which are still guaranteed not to lose money, but they're good for people who don't want just a 4 or 5% return. They want something that's potentially higher. So what the insurance company does is they take the interest that they would have given you and they use that to buy options on the market. So if the market goes up, you could get a lot higher than whatever the fixed rate would have been. And if the market crashes, the worst case scenario is you don't lose any money. So you could get zero some
Mm-hmm.
years, but you would never go backwards. So those are the types of annuities that are used for growing money, and there's been several studies lately that have been in the news talking about how index annuities usually over a long period of time are going to do better than bonds in your portfolio. So whatever your safe money is, because everybody, no matter how aggressive of an investor you are, you usually have some money that's safe, that's on the sidelines. So that safe money is usually going to do better in an index annuity than it will in any other type of vehicle.
Right. So I've heard that annuities have really not good because you're capped. You can't make as much money as you could in the market.
Well, they in many cases that's true. You're either capped by a limit of certain percent. This is the most you can earn, or maybe you're capped by a percentage. You can only get a percentage of the growth because you can't have everything, right? You can't have all of the market returns and also none of the losses. So the the question is whether it's worth it what you're giving up, right? If you're giving up some growth but you're guaranteed not to lose money, in many times that'll actually outperform your alternative investments in depending on the time period.
Yeah, we have a video on sequence of returns that shows a little bit of how that works, so you can check it out. And if you want to know more, you can always make an appointment. Just click the link. But also, Daniel, what about liquidity? I mean, I've heard that the annuities, you tie up your money, you can't get your money without paying a boatload of fees.
Well, that's true for some annuities, like especially variable annuities. There's a lot of fees, and those are charged every year. With fixed annuities, usually uh, for just the annuity itself, and if you have an income rider, we'll talk about that in a minute. But if it's just a growth annuity, usually there are no fees at all that are ongoing that are charged each year. And if you want to get out of it during the time period, then there could be a fee depending on how many years you have left in the contract.
So let's say it's a 10-year annuity, and let it grow for a while, and it's year 6 now, and I want to take some money out because I retired.
So let's say you have $1 million in this annuity and it's year 6, so you got 4 years left on your 10-year contract. Usually you can take up to 10%. Some of them are 5, some of them are 7, but usually 10% is the most common. You can take 10% out every year.
So that's $100,000.
100,000 with no fee at all.
So what if I want $120,000?
If you want 120,000, the extra 20,000 would have a fee, and it really depends on how many years are left. But it's usually 1% for each year that's left. So 4% would be the fees, but only on the 20,000.
Because year 6 is only 4 years left.
Exactly. So $20,000 at 4% is $800, and that's all you would be charged.
That's the only fee I'm paying. So the other 6 years, I haven't paid any fees at all.
Yeah. So let's compare this to an investment account. Let's say you have an advisor that's managing your money in the market, and you're paying 1% every year. And let's just forget the growth on the fees and the we have another video about that, the impact of fees long term on your portfolio. But let's just go for the actual dollars, and let's say you had $1 million and it never grew. You were paying exactly $10,000 every year. So by the time 6 years have gone, you've paid $60,000 in fees
without even using the money.
Without even spending the money. In the annuity, you've paid no fees so far, so that's $60,000 savings. And then in year 6, in your example, you're paying an $800 fee. So $60,000 versus $800 by that point. You have to compare apples to apples. So yes, especially in the first few years of a contract, if you want to pull all the money out, you could have up to a 10% fee or 12% fee even.
But who in the right mind want to pull all their retirement money out one time? You got to pay taxes too.
Exactly. So that's not usually a very realistic scenario. But even if it is, let's say you have an emergency, what is worst case scenario? You can pull it out and you get 90% of the money because 10% went to the fee. Well, that's guaranteed by the insurance company. What is your liquidity in the market? Let's say you have $1 million in Apple stock, and now you want to take it all out. But it dropped maybe this month it dropped by 15%. Well, that's more than the fee that the insurance company was going to charge you. You have no baseline guarantee in the market. So your liquidity is not predefined. People think and they assume, I have liquid money because any given day, whatever's in there, you could take it out. But you're not guaranteed on what the value is that day, whereas you are in the annuity. So
yeah, I've also heard that with annuities, you lose your money because if you put it in, your kids will never get anything.
So that's an income annuity. And income annuities can be very good. Again, they're a different type of tool, so they can be very good for certain people, especially people who do not have a large enough pension or Social Security to cover their basic retirement needs. So if you've been working all your life and you save and you got a bunch of money set aside, but you didn't work for the government or one of those few corporations that still have pensions, and you don't have much that's guaranteed income, many people choose to take some of their retirement nest egg and buy a pension. And that's what an income annuity is.
So you're trading your money for a guaranteed lifetime income that never goes away no matter how long you live.
Exactly. And so there's some positives with that. Many studies show that people with guaranteed income are happier and live longer. But and it's certainly a lot less stressful in retirement. You're always going to get your income, and some of them even have inflation increases, so it's going to increase. But the downside is it's a pension, so you're guaranteed as long as you live, but if you don't live very long, you may not get very much out of it. And some of them go away immediately when you die, even if you die in the first few years. That's not so common lately. Those are SPIAs. Those are not as common to see. Most of the income annuities will still have some kind of account balance for the first 10 or 15 years or so. But it does drain pretty fast. And so if you are planning to leave that chunk of money to your kids, then that's not such a great idea because it does go away when you die if there's no money left in the account. But on the flip side, if you live a really long time into your 90s or age 100 or whatever, it'll keep paying you no matter how long you live, even if you run out of money.
So basically, what you're saying is you really need to talk to a professional because you can't figure this out yourself. You don't know what fees there are, what the restrictions there are, things like that, and you can't just write off an annuity because it's an annuity. You got to see, is it worthwhile for you? It's sort of like going to a doctor and saying, "Hey, doc, I need to lose weight, but if you're going to talk to me about dieting and exercise, don't talk to me." That's the two main tools of dieting. So if you're going to talk about guaranteed income or retirement income, annuities are a pretty good tool, wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes. I mean, in fact, to solve one of the two of the biggest problems with risks in retirement, sequence of returns risk or longevity risk, annuities are usually one of the best tools for that. Sequence of returns is the risk that you might have really bad years in the market early on in retirement, but if it's protected from loss in a growth index annuity, that eliminates that risk. And then longevity risk is the risk that you're spending money and you keep spending more money because of inflation and you run out because you live a really long time. Well, if you have a guaranteed lifetime income annuity, that would solve that risk. So sequence of returns and longevity risk are two huge risks that most retirees are concerned about, and the proper annuity product can actually solve either one of those better than pretty much anything else that you can get these days.
And when's the best time to buy an annuity? I mean, I've heard that there are certain times you got to buy. I mean,
Or are you too young for an annuity?
too young for an annuity, too old for an annuity, but I think that now is a good time because the interest rates are high. When interest rates are high, that allows the insurance company to have a bigger budget to get bigger options, and you're locking the insurance company in for the 10-year period or whatever period you lock them in, and so that insurance company now has that higher budget for that many years. So even if they drop the rates next year or the year after, you already have captured a higher rate with the insurance company. You're likely to have a better growth rate on that, right?
That's right. So click the link in the description to make an appointment with us, and we'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one at no cost to discuss what is in your best interest. We are fiduciaries, so anything we discuss with you one-on-one is going to be in your best interest at all times, and we'll be happy to have that conversation. Talk to you soon.
Take care.